Good evening. As I'm sure you guys have noticed by now, we are dressed fancy.
We are?
Yeah. Tonight we are eating dinner at Victoria and Albert's, which is at the Grand Floridian. It is a 4-diamond restaurant.
I think it's a 5-diamond.
I think it only goes up to 4 diamonds. It's 5 stars, 4 diamonds.
Are you sure?
I think so.
I think we should Google that.
Victoria and Albert's is a 5-diamond rated restaurant.
I've never been to a 1-diamond restaurant.
Yeah.
So like we're like really jumping in with both feet here.
Yeah. First of all, we did want to let you guys know that there is a dress code at Victoria and Albert's. So guys have to wear jackets, dress pants, dress shoes. Ties are optional. And girls have to wear a nice dress, a nice elegant pantsuit. It
wasn't very clear though online, and so because we've never been there, I wasn't really sure if like a cocktail dress, because I'm in a cocktail dress now, but some people said that you have to wear like a long gown and a tux. Other people said they were dressed more casual, so I kind of just went more in the middle. Yeah. Because I don't have a long gown except for my wedding dress.
Well, because the website said ties are optional for men, I would assume that that is cocktail attire.
I hope so, because I definitely don't want to be underdressed, but I didn't have the option to be overdressed because I didn't have a dress that dressy. So that's the first little bit of information that you should know if you're going to make a reservation at Victoria and Albert's.
And so I think it's going to be a little bit interesting seeing how we can film and still be respectful, because there are going to be other guests there. They are going to have paid just as much as us, which is around $250 a plate. So we're going to try to be as respectful to the other guests as possible, which might mean us kind of taking short clips and whispering to the camera.
Or it may just mean that we do a sit-down video towards the end of this and add the clips in later. We really kind of want to gauge the atmosphere of the restaurant. So we'll see, but we will show you what we're eating and we'll definitely give you our full review and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, so let's go.
Yeah.
Well, here's the first new thing. We are going to the left. We used to have to exit to the right to get to all of the resorts near the Magic Kingdom, and now we're headed to the left, because this is a new flyover. Yes, into the Grand Floridian. One of the things that I love about the Grand Floridian is they just have a live band playing in the lobby here in the evening time. How you feeling?
I'm really nervous.
Don't know why.
Because this is too fancy.
Oh, we're gonna be okay. It's gonna be a-okay.
I'm like really nervous.
It's gonna be alright. We can do it. We're inside of Victoria and Albert's now.
There's a harp player.
Yeah. This is it. This is the whole restaurant. There's 14 tables in here, and there's 2 other rooms, but this is the largest room. Wow. This is fancy. Like a real candle. Yeah, this is the wine list. Like, what kind of wine do you want, Jen? You want the proprietary white blend? Like this one right here, and then it tells you all the different notes, the different flavor notes that it has, and there's a picture of the bottle. This is fancy. So here's my menu, and this is as is. This is what the chef suggests, but then there is one item that you can add right here, this Kobe style beef, and mine's a little bit different because I don't do seafood, so Jen's has seafood on it. So this is the chef's menu, and mine was changed because I don't eat seafood, so they will change your menu for dietary needs. And you can see she also has the option of the Kobe beef. Jen, why are there so many songs about rainbows?
I don't know, why are there so many harp songs?
I don't know. I like playing Name That Tune with the lady playing the harp. Ooh, you got some rosé.
This is from France.
Oh, do you remember me?
I do. This is actually really sad. I haven't even seen the movie and
Remember me when you hear a sad harp. I like it. We're holding hands across the table. We're actually kind of far apart.
Yeah.
But
I think we're too far away from each other.
I feel like we're having a seance.
I think we are. Wow.
Send us a message from somewhere beyond.
Do you hear the tambourine?
Oh no, you went out of focus. Maybe that is the message. Here's going to be my biggest problem for the whole night. This is our amuse bouche. I don't know what it is. It's like an avocado crema. Jen's has caviar and langoustine in it, and mine just has asparagus in it. So, he said that the stuff on top is the Italian word for cloud. Ooh, that's Jen's. That's the lobster, the caviar, and the avocado crema. Pretty interesting. It's a very fresh flavor. Like, I did not expect it to taste like this. Asparagus is a very strong flavor, but it doesn't overpower this dish.
Was there asparagus in it?
Yeah.
Where?
Maybe mine had asparagus and yours didn't.
I think mine had lobster.
Mmm.
I don't know. It was interesting.
So it's been a few days since we ate at Victoria and Albert's, and we've kind of like let the idea of it marinate. And we've kind of put together our thoughts on how the meal went and what the food was like, and now we're back here with you guys to share those thoughts with you.
And Victoria and Albert's is right behind us, so we figured this would be a good spot to talk about it.
So we will start with the amuse bouche.
And so the menu did have a couple of enhancements, and this was one of them where you could add like I got some more fancy caviar to your dish. We didn't do that because it was an additional like $100.
Whoa.
So we decided against that. So, okay, while I really liked this, I liked the idea of this, I could taste that the flavors went really well together. It was obviously a well thought out dish. But what I didn't like about it was the texture of the jelly. It just was the texture that I didn't like. The flavor was actually really good. It was very fresh. The seafood was cooked like perfectly. It was a lobster, like a little bits of lobster, and I love citrus and lobster together. So the flavors were there. It was just the texture that I could not handle.
As for me, I got the same thing. It just didn't have any of the seafood in it. So
what did yours have instead?
I don't think it had anything. Instead, it had asparagus in it. So instead of seafood, mine had champagne and buttermilk in it.
And the asparagus.
And the asparagus.
Yeah.
And it's not that I didn't like the flavor of it. It was good. It did what it was supposed to do. It awakened my taste buds.
Yeah.
But there was so much, not so much time, but there was a little bit of time between the courses that it kind of started to like age in my mouth. The flavor did. Oh. And it was a very sour flavor after a while, and I kind of got this like...
I wonder if that's from the buttermilk.
Maybe.
It could be.
I asked them about the spirit-free cocktails, so they brought me out the spirit-free cocktail list. I don't know, they sound pretty good. What do you guys... Oh, you can get a mule, like a non-alcoholic mule. This is like the full-out cocktail menu, and the beer menu, and the Scotch whiskey menu. Lots of stuff. This is a whole sparkling water section. Wow, they have sparkling water from around the world. Like, I can get French sparkling water. We got our first of 3 bread courses. This is just a simple French baguette. But then they gave us some Vermont creamery butter.
They know where the butter came from.
Yeah.
And the salt is from the UK.
And it's inside of a hand-carved salt container. Salt and salt. This is a melon salad. Mine has ham, and they gave me 25-year aged balsamic. And this is a hybrid between a melon and a cucumber.
Mine is a similar dish, however it has Alaskan crab instead of the ham, but I love the, I think it's Iberico ham, so I kind of wish I had yours.
You can have a little bit of mine.
Okay. I really liked this a lot. The crab was like super fresh, and it went really well with the melon. I haven't had those together before, but it was delicious. That was something that I wish I could have had like a larger portion of. It was really good.
My dish was basically exactly the same as that, except for without the Alaskan king crab, and in its place was a ham, and the ham was delicious. It was really good, and I think the melon actually played off the ham really well. Mm-hmm. And then they added this aged balsamic vinegar that I actually didn't like as much. But
was it too like bold of a flavor?
Yeah. And I think that the ham tasted better without that, but they recommended you use it on the ham. Ooh, I got mine. Mine's just chicken with fennel and ravioli.
Absolutely.
This is amazing. It's a French chicken.
I don't remember what he said. It's some kind of bass, and it's in a fennel something or other. It smells very good. I wish that I could remember all the words that he said, but it looks delicious. The ravioli and the fish went really well together, and they did give me a super fancy fish knife, and I didn't know how to use it. There's one thing I will say is that I let her know. I said I don't know how to use any of the silverware. I don't know like what to use first or what is for what, and she explained everything every time the food came out, which was really nice. Yeah. So if you feel uncomfortable and you're not sure if you're eating it right or if you're using the right fork or knife or whatever, just tell them, and they honestly were so nice about it. Yeah. So I felt very comfortable after I told her that I was uncomfortable, if that makes sense. So also with that ravioli dish, the sauce was so good.
Yeah?
So yeah.
So for my version of this plate, it was actually just the exact same as what Jen got, except for instead of the fish, I got a little piece of roasted chicken.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that chicken, and I said this when I ate it, I said, nothing goes better together than fennel and chicken. So that one was a thumbs up for me. So I got the pork, and mine has heirloom tomatoes on it. And I mean, that's kind of it. Mine's pretty basic course. Jen, on the other hand.
Wait, let me.
Wow.
I know, I didn't exactly hear what he said, but there's some kind of broken tomato water that they add to this. And then there's fish.
That's pinwheels of soul.
And other things. It looks very interesting.
It looks really good.
The one thing I remember about this is that the fish was so good. It was cooked so perfectly. They were in these little like pinwheel formations and they were just delicious. It was the right amount of fish too. I didn't really understand the tomato water.
Yeah.
That was a little confusing to me. It did taste good, but it probably could have done without it as well. Maybe? I don't know.
This one's interesting. This is a veal. It's sitting on Yukon Gold mash or like puree with butter. This is a piece of potato glass, they call it. It's like a really thinly sliced piece of potato. Oh, you have it in your hand.
Yeah.
Wow. And then what else was on this?
Creme fraiche, potatoes, veal, potatoes.
More potatoes.
Butter.
Butter and potatoes. So what did you think of the veal?
I thought the veal was super tender. Obviously veal is very tender. The potato glass was like a really smoky kind of salty potato chip. The mushrooms gave it a very earthy flavor, but like all around it was a very rich dish. So I think the small portion size was nice because it was so rich. I don't think I could have eaten any more of that.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, after, this was filmed a few days after we actually ate, I'm sorry I never actually took the potato glass off the top of it so you guys could see the veal.
Yeah.
But it was cooked perfectly and it was delicious. And it was like, I'm glad that it was like a meat and potatoes dish.
Oh yeah.
So it was like, but a fancy meat and potatoes dish with some nice mushrooms. So you can kind of imagine the flavor of veal and mushrooms and potatoes together. Meat and potatoes. So we got brioche, which is like a cake bread. And
he said it had a consistency of a pound cake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then our butter is a 3-herb butter blend.
And the same herbs that are in the butter are in the bread.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So this is the quail. They call this the game course. It's a lot of stuff. Quail wrapped in bacon with, they said that this is a spinach, even though it looks like a Brussels sprout, and some corn components. Pretty good looking.
And so this dish, honestly, all I could taste was salt and smoke. Those are the two flavors that I got. So I didn't really love it. I'm sorry, I feel bad for saying that.
So funny though, because I love this part.
Right.
I love this dish.
Yeah.
It was good. It was really good. Like, I think that that's the thing. It's kind of like it felt like a very caveman dish.
Why?
Because it was like, a tiny bird, but a bird that was cooked over an open flame.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it had like a very taste to it.
Very hearty?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't hate it. I just thought it was too smoky and too salty for me personally.
And I loved it. Good luck with this one, camera. This one's the lamb loin, and they said that this was inspired by one of those dining in the dark experiences, and they have blacked it out using like Kalamata olive sheets, and there's cheese in there and some puree over here. It's kind of interesting.
So this one was really cool. The idea is so neat. I've never done one of those like dining in the dark type things, which is what this was based off of. He wanted to kind of create everything in a black plate and put like a black sauce on top, so everything sort of blended together with the plate, so you really couldn't see it and you're just relying on the flavor. And I'm gonna be really honest with you, the black olive reduction that they put on top of everything to disguise it on the plate, I did not like that.
Yeah, it overpowered everything on the plate.
All I could taste was olive.
Yeah.
It was just a straight up black olive. That was all I could taste. I did like the little chickpea cake. I thought was really good. I like the flavor of that, but I don't think I liked any other flavor.
Yeah, and I have to echo your opinion on this particular dish. It was too much olive flavor. Like, I think that if the olive wasn't there, the pork would have been delicious. But because of all of the black olive, the Kalamata olives, just overtook the dish.
And that is kind of like a very bold flavor to begin with. It's also very salty and like briny, and I think that was a big part of it.
Yeah.
But I wish I could remember the pork. I don't remember it.
Yeah. You only tasted olives.
Yeah.
They brought us a sauce spoon that has this special cutout out of it so that it can go around the edge of the plate and pick up the sauce. Not this plate, but the other plate that we're gonna get soon. Our final bread is a multi-grain bread that they said takes 3 days to make. So this is Kobe style beef from Australia with a chimichurri. This is Wagyu from Japan. And then this is a pinwheel of potatoes. This is a chive maltodextrin, so it's like chive powder. And then this is a reduction that you can use to put on top of your beef if you want to. So next was our add-on item. So this was an extra cost. This was an extra $55 each.
Yeah.
And it was Australian Kobe style beef, and then like real Wagyu from Japan.
So our add-on was the Japanese Wagyu.
Right.
Like we paid for the Australian, that was in the prefix dinner, for the Australian Kobe beef, and then we paid the additional $55 to try the Japanese Wagyu.
Yeah, and we've had Wagyu before in Japan, and I think that our Wagyu from Japan was better.
I do too. It had a different texture.
Right.
It was not as gooey, if that makes sense. This was like a very gooey Wagyu.
Right.
I don't know why, and I don't know how to explain that.
I think that the Wagyu that we had in Japan had less marbling than this did.
I don't know though. It was very marbled, but it was more inside of the meat, whereas this one, it almost felt like there was a goo on top of the meat, like there was a layer of fat on top of the meat altogether, as well as the marbling, and it made it more gelatinous, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It tasted delicious, but it was a texture thing, I think, that I was kind of like not ready for.
Well, and I will say this, if you have not had the chance to go over to Japan and have Wagyu beef, this will be the best steak you've ever had in your life.
Oh yeah, for sure. And even the Australian Kobe was really good.
Yeah.
But I will say that this is the dish that I like tapped out on. I couldn't eat any more food.
Right.
I was so full. I felt terrible being like, I can't eat anymore.
But I did. I ate it.
Yeah, Tim ate the other half of my dish. So I tried half of my Wagyu, half of my Kobe, half of the little potato, which was also very delicious. And I cut out the part where we talked about how they made it. Do you want to tell them how they made the little potato?
Oh, so this was like a complex thing where they cut the potato into slices, and then they ran it through a pasta maker in order to make it into like pasta-like things, and then they reformed it back into a pinwheel before cooking it. So
yeah, and then they put some kind of, they braised it with some kind of something on top.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like a fat or it was something to give it more flavor. It was really good, really good. So this was honestly my favorite, I feel like my favorite red meat dish of the meal. So yeah.
He brought out the Kona coffee maker. You can see it here is spelled with a C, Kona coffee maker. But it's like uses vacuum to make the coffee. There's nothing separating the coffee grounds from the water other than this crystal rod in here. And apparently it'll draw all the water up to the top. And then when he removes the heat, it all goes back down to the bottom. And that's what we drink out of. Here's my cheese plate. There was a lot of stuff that went into telling me what everything was, and I don't remember any of it. I'm very sorry. But I do know that they're arranged from mildest to strongest. And I do know that these are raisins on the vine. As far as the cheese goes, you just can't go wrong with cheese.
Yeah, I think all of the little accompaniments, I ate this later at home. They let me take it in a to-go box because I was so full. So I ate it at home like for breakfast the next day. And the little accompaniments that came with the cheese were delicious with each cheese. Like they paired it very well. All of the cheeses were delicious. And they even said that we could have like more if we wanted at the table. So I thought that was really nice. So if you're there and you're like, oh man, I really love that mild cheese, you can ask for more.
Yeah, and the way that they brought it out, I don't think we got to show you this, but they like brought it out in a big cheese cart.
Oh, so if you've ever been to Be Our Guest, when they come by with the cart that your food comes on, it looks like that kind of, but more fancy.
Look at that, the coffee did a thing. Whoa, it's science. Science is actually happening right now. It's making coffee. This is the pre-dessert dessert and some sort of banana tower with like a caramelized sugar tube. I don't know, this looks interesting and it looks delicious, but this is the pre-dessert dessert.
So this is another one of the dishes that was not on the menu. It was just kind of like an extra from the chef. And everybody got the same thing, and it was really good. Yeah. Like it was I want to say that it was almost like a Bananas Foster's, but I don't know if that's what it actually was. Because that's why there was no little menu card during the last clip, because they didn't ever, because it wasn't actually on the menu, so I don't know what's in it. Right. But it was really good.
Yeah, it was good. It was like banana pudding, but then they had this like...
It was like a waffle cone.
A waffle... You know what it tasted like?
What?
Stroopwafel.
Oh, yeah.
Tasted exactly like stroopwafel around a banana pudding with a little bananas on top of it with caramelized sugar.
It was really good. That was another thing that I took to go because I was full and I ate it the next day. Delicious. Yeah.
We must have had one of the later reservations because almost everybody else from the restaurant is gone. And lastly, Peruvian chocolate. And it's got 24 karat gold on the top of it. It's what?
There's a coconut in there somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's down here. In this stuff is coconut.
Oh.
This is real fancy. I've never eaten gold before, but I'm gonna eat it tonight. There's the coconut inside of it right there. This is very, very rich. So the dessert chocolate dome was amazing.
It was so good. That was another thing that I ate at home as like a leftover. It was I ate it 2 days later. It was still delicious. Yeah. So good. The little coconut inside, I love that.
Yeah, the praline cake on the bottom, delicious.
Yeah, it just added this really nice crunch. I don't know, that was honestly one of my favorite parts of the meal.
The 24 karat gold that we ate.
Oh, you're like, I've never eaten gold before. Like, no, we've never eaten gold. It was delicious.
Yeah. I don't think the gold actually tasted like anything, but the chocolate was delicious.
It tasted like delicious gold.
This dessert was probably way too rich to be having at the end of this meal, because that's the other thing about this is, although all of the little bits of food that they brought out, all the courses were very tiny, they were filling.
Yeah, the flavors really packed a punch. So you were like just knocked out with flavor and flavor and flavor and flavor. And it was almost too much, which is why I couldn't finish my meal. So I agree. I think it was really rich. Even when I took it home and I ate the leftovers, you ate half of that. Right. So like, cause I literally couldn't eat it all. It was just so much flavor.
Yeah, and they also offered us little chocolate candies at the end. They brought over this huge tray of like 16 different kinds of candy, or maybe 10 different kinds of candy.
They were good.
And we couldn't eat those at the restaurant because we had those too. We were so full. Yeah. We had to take them home, and they were still good the next day.
They were, and they had like hazelnut, they had some with fruit, they had some with like little liqueur inside. It was just like a really nice touch at the end of the meal.
So, we just finished. It's been...
I don't think we're done yet.
Oh, well, they brought out little chocolates for us, and we had to refuse them. They're going to put them in a box. It's been 3.5 hours.
It's been 84 minutes.
It's a very long experience to come in here. They put this box in front of me, and I was a bit confused. It's the check. A long-stemmed red rose. And back out into the Grand Floridian. I feel like everybody's asleep.
We can talk normal now.
Right?
I think everybody is asleep. I think I need to be asleep.
I definitely need to be asleep. So after much deliberation, what are your final thoughts on Victoria & Albert's?
I think that it's too fancy for me. I really did enjoy some of the food. Some of the food I think was a miss for me, and that's probably because my palate is not very mature. I wish that I could have enjoyed some of the things that I didn't enjoy, but I think it was just like a palate thing. I do recommend it if this is something that you have like a really fancy occasion, or you know, you're celebrating something really special. I think this would definitely be a great place to come and celebrate and just to feel pampered, because I felt pampered.
I also feel like this is a great place to be introduced to fine dining.
Yeah.
Like if you've never been to a restaurant that requires you to wear a dinner jacket, that requires like an evening attire, this would definitely be a place to come and learn.
Yeah.
And here's my thoughts on Victoria & Albert's. The food was good, yes, and it was an exciting experience, and it was like a once in a lifetime type thing to do.
Oh, for sure.
But I don't know that it was worth, I think we ended up paying something around $750 when all was said and done. I don't know that it was worth $750 for one night out behind these doors right here.
For us.
Right.
You know, we don't want to...
And you guys may have actually seen some stuff in the video that you're like, that looks really delicious.
And it was really delicious.
Yeah.
But I think that for me, I would rather spend my money differently.
Right.
I think that's really what it boils down to. And I do think that you enjoyed the food more than I did.
Right.
But I did enjoy the champagne. And all the seafood was really great. I never get seafood because Tim doesn't like it. So that all was really, really good.
So final thoughts on Victoria & Albert's. If you have ever thought about coming to Victoria & Albert's, go.
Yeah, you should try it.
It's delicious. Give it a try. Hopefully this video helped out with you making your decision as to whether you want to go to Victoria & Albert's or not. And with that being said, we are off, and we will see you guys tomorrow. And now it's time to pay the price.